Live from parts unknown, you're listening to Simon Miller's Pro Wrestling Podcast, the only wrestling podcast on the planet, we think. Sit back, relax, prepare for positivity to run through your veins as Simon Miller gives you your weekly dose of powerful pro wrestling audio. It is Miller Time.
Hello and welcome to a very special episode of Simon's Pro Wrestling Podcast. He's been on, I think 2 times before, maybe 3, I can't remember, but he's back again. It is the one, I'm not even sort of doing a big intro, I'm just getting straight into it because I know that time is against us. I just want to chat about as much pro wrestling as I can with the one and only Jim Sterling, who joins me to wrap up everything that's been going on in the WWE, because of course we've just had the Royal Rumble. That counts as one of the big 4, and when we have one of the big 4, we make sure we get Jim Sterling on the line. How you doing, my friend?
It's an honour as always. It is an honour that you consider me the big 4 guy.
Absolutely do. Who else could do it?
No, it's a delight always. Because we talked about me coming back on after the Rumble, and the Royal Rumble is my favourite of the WWE events. Always has been.
Yeah, me too.
Even as a kid, before I really followed pro wrestling, I would still, if I ever caught a Rumble, be mesmerised. I remember, I can't remember how old I was, but when I was younger, my early Rumble memory was, I forget even which member of the Bushwhackers it was, but the Bushwhackers doing their little Bushwhacker walk with the arms going up and down like some weird robot, like a wind-up toy. Does his walk into the Royal Rumble,
oh, man, the best.
Immediately over the top rope, and just does the walk straight back out, not giving a shit.
I mean, genuinely one of the best Raw moments that, to ever happen, which I think, I can't remember who said this. Somebody said this the other day on a podcast or something, but they were like, I think it was Al Snow, actually. I think he was like, that one moment for him sums up why wrestling will never be about wins or losses, and it's about moments. Because that moment, as you've just proven, gets brought up all the time. Whereas, you could say, oh, who won it in, 2004? And people go, I don't know. But everybody remembers when the Bushwhacker got in, bushwhacked his way across the ring and then got thrown out.
And that's why I love the Rumble, because you see, not only do you get, some good nostalgia acts and some unexpected surprises and all that kind of stuff. I mean, it's basically like, to draw from my video game media background, it's like loot boxes, but good, because you never know what you're getting when the countdown starts. And sometimes you might get an AJ Styles, or you might get an Adam Cole baby, or you might get Roman Reigns. So it's a mixed bag. I don't want to dunk on Reigns too much, although I think at one point during the event I did tweet, Oh no, it was about Cena. I think I just tweeted, "Oh, piss off, Cena."
Well, see, we'll get to it, but yeah, I mean, Cena. I don't know. Cena, since he came back at the Royal Rumble, has been very strange to me. Like it's almost like, I don't know whether it's because he's taken time off or whether he's just getting older, but it does feel like he's missed a step. I thought what he did at the Royal Rumble and then what he did on Raw the following night in his match against Finn Balor, I was a bit like, Cena, you don't feel like the once sort of, superhero. I mean, wins and losses aside, I always thought John Cena got a bad rap by most people. But I watched him in that 48-hour period, and I was like, something is different here, John. And I don't know 100% what it is, but I don't like it.
Yeah, I mean, calling those spots and having a casual chat with Roman Reigns while dangling on the ring rope waiting for Rey Mysterio didn't help. I saw that one when I was watching it live. I did catch him just lying there for the 619, just turning to have a little chat with Roman Reigns. Like, I don't know whether it was like, have you watched all of Black Mirror yet? I don't know what he asked.
He just wanted to know.
But the one I didn't see was Matthew from Botchamania tweeted out the gif of Roman and Cena having that stare down while the crowd are chanting, you both suck, which did make me laugh. I feel bad. I give him some shit myself, but I do feel bad for Roman sometimes because he does look a little bit like sad and lost when that happens.
My thing with Roman Reigns is that I can completely understand why he was their guy, but the way they went about it was terrible.
Yeah.
I mean, all he's ever done is been a really good employee. I mean, and who wouldn't be if you're put in that position? But that's his only real mistake, is being a really good employee, and it's come back to bite him in the ass and then some.
Yeah. Well, that seems to be a running theme when you work for people like Mr. McMahon.
Well, yeah, isn't it true? But no, I thought it was all strange, and then them yelling at Finn Balor and whoever else, Shinsuke Nakamura.
Shinsuke, that was it. Yeah, that was the gift.
Get on with it, or whatever they said.
It was like, now, Shinsuke, now.
Talk about ruining the magic of pro wrestling.
Yeah, although I will say, Cena on Monday on his Raw match with Balor. It was Balor, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That is I haven't been that interested in John Cena in years. In a long time. Something about that seemed like they're trying to do something interesting with him at last. Like, especially, normally you can tell if something's bollocks by how much Michael Cole talks about it.
True.
And although it wasn't Michael Cole, actually, it was more Jonathan Coachman this time. So glad to see him back, by the way.
I am too, and no one seems to. I don't mind Jonathan Coachman.
I used to love Jonathan Coachman. I thought he was funny. He had this sort of like hopeless dweeb thing going.
Yeah, he does. Yeah,
and at least he's coherent, which
he's
makes
better
him
than
a bit
Booker.
different from Booker T.
Yeah, he's better than Booker T. I think so anyway. But no, I had never. Coachman used to grate on a lot of people apparently, as I found out when he came back. But I don't mind him at all. I think he's serviceable. I got no problem with him.
Yeah. I mean, I fell out of wrestling, like following it like fully, when he had that weird heel turn, and I sort of heard about it.
Yeah.
Which the concept amused me no end. The amount of different types of non-wrestlers they were trying to turn heel.
I know, they loved it, didn't they?
Several-year period. Howard Finkel, I think, at one point, he had a whole heel thing going on.
He did. Didn't he team up with Jericho or something? I can't remember now.
Probably.
He had something really weird, and you were like, why? Well, Michael Cole that's the one that I always thought was awful. The lead announcer was a bad guy. I was like, what is going on?
The funny thing is if he was a colour commentator, he'd be amazing, because he does obnoxious really well. And I don't mean that as an insult. Like, I know Michael Cole gets a lot of shit. Michael Cole, messes up the names of moves and stuff. Although, he knows the names of moves a lot more than I do.
Yeah, I'm not good with names of moves, Sometimes people say things, I have to secretly look it up. It's not like, I know the basic ones. I'm not going to say which one I didn't know the other day because I'll get too much grief for it. But somebody said a move to me the other day when I was training, actually. And I was like, yeah. And the secret was like, I have no idea what the hell that is. So, yeah, I'm not too good with stuff like that.
Yeah, I was so glad that when I did my wrestling thing, that my biggest cue was a Superman punch. Because I'm like, well, I know what the fuck that is.
Yeah.
But we'll talk about my many botches later. But going back to Cena on Raw, I know we're supposed to talk about the Rumble, but
we'll get there.
Jonathan Coachman focusing on the negativity of the crowds. Normally, they just do the whole, he's divisive.
Yeah,
just
they're
to get
having
out
fun.
Of it.
Yeah.
But Coachman, at first you think, he's a new commentator and must be surprised because he's not seen, he's not been there for these reactions in the arena. So, maybe he's speaking from the heart here. But then he kept talking about it and how it was bothering Cena. And I don't know if it's a setup for that, heel turn people have been waiting over a decade for.
Yeah.
But there was something about the disillusionment that I think is deliberate, and that's actually made me quite interested in Cena.
Yeah, I agree.
And I don't dislike Cena. The way he's always rolled with the negative reactions I've enjoyed. I don't like that when someone else is trying to cut a promo, he's too busy gurning and pulling funny faces. And basically, just upstaging them even when he's not talking. But I've always liked his presence.
Yes,
he's just, he's got a bit of that Reigns thing where it's like, there's only so much of the same old shit I can see from you. And now I'm intrigued. Now I'm actually intrigued.
No, I agree. And I thought the same thing. I thought the way he was on the Rumble and the way he was on Raw, to me, suggested that potentially, I guess, because he is more of a part-timer guy, and I would imagine that his merchandise sales and all that aren't what they once were, maybe we can be a bit more flexible with his character. And he certainly did seem a bit more edgy than the John Cena that I'm used to. And that is what I would like to see, because I totally agree with you. At this point, what else can I really take away from John Cena? And the answer is not a lot. He kind of is what he is by this point.
Yeah. And there was something about that constant reinforcement of his, of, I gotta get to WrestleMania somehow. And it's like, you're John Cena. You can just walk in. Yeah. You can just be in WrestleMania, but
no one's going to say anything.
It seemed to indicate an insecurity that they might be writing into the character.
I hope so.
If he's not main eventing WrestleMania, he doesn't consider himself good enough, which would be a great character turn for him.
And it would tie into all these rumours that apparently it's going to be Cena and The Undertaker at Mania 34. Because if you can't get into the championship match, what's the next main event? Fighting The Undertaker at Mania. So that would all tie in and would actually be a very nice story arc. So I hope they do that. But like I said, I've heard these rumours about Taker and Cena for ages now. Originally, they were going to be announced at Raw 25. Then it was going to be at the Rumble. And here we are almost a week removed from the Rumble, and there's nothing. So I have absolutely no idea what the plan is there. But that would be good. And I think it would be far more interesting for Cena to go that route than the typical, happy guy, don't care if I win, lose, let's just see what happens, dude.
Yeah, pretty much.
All right, well, I hope you're right, Jim. As always, I hope you're right. Transitioning to the Rumble itself, I mean, we'll start with the 2 Rumble matches before going everything else. Obviously, a lot of people were surprised that maybe the men's Royal Rumble match was on third. I wasn't, simply because I thought, well, you can't promote a women's Royal Rumble with this much hoopla. I always assumed that was going to be the main event, mostly because I thought the not necessarily how it did happen, but I did think Ronda Rousey was going to tie into it somehow.
Oh the Ronda Rumble. That's what they're renaming it. Exactly. It's the Ronda Rumble, and we're on the Rond to Rousey Mania.
Well, essentially, because this is the weird thing. We'll just start there, actually. This is the weird thing about it, though. Like, Ronda Rousey is a bigger star than anybody that is currently in the WWE. Like, her mainstream appeal is ridiculous, even after everything that's happened with the UFC. Okay, sure, she may not be as hot, quote unquote, as she once was, but everybody knows who Ronda Rousey is, and I think that was made clear by the amount of coverage they've got. So if right now she's going to be on they say a full-time deal, I think it's more like a Brock Lesnar deal, or that's what it sounds like anyway. But
I mean, she said, they've said that she's on a full-time contract, but I didn't see her Monday night.
No, and it was so funny because I said that on a video about Raw, and I got all this hate going, well, we haven't had SmackDown yet. Surprise, surprise, she wasn't on SmackDown either.
Was she not?
No, she was not.
I've not caught SmackDown yet. I think I've said before, I watched the edited Hulu ones because cable is obsolete and should be deleted. But so I watch everything digitally. Yeah. And the only way you can do that without just pirating it is Hulu's truncated version. So I catch those the morning after. So once I'm done here, and then I do my Podquisition podcast, then it's off to watch SmackDown.
Well, small spoiler, you won't see Ronda Rousey. I mean, that's all I can tell you.
Well, I wasn't expecting her to be on SmackDown anyway. There's no way they wouldn't put her on Raw.
No, she's either going to be on both or she's going to be on Raw. There's no way they're not going to want. Yeah. Because the whole point of her is to raise ratings to get a better TV deal, and Raw's your A show, your major show. So of course you want her on there.
Monday Night Rawsy. That's what they're going to rename it as well.
They really will, because I understand why. Because she holds all the cards here. But obviously she has trademark Rowdy Ronda Rousey for use in pro wrestling, and they are letting her use it. Can you imagine anybody else getting away with that? Can you imagine, like, Ricochet just got into NXT? Can you imagine Ricochet in his negotiation sat down and says, look, I'm going to trademark my own name so I make all the money, but I still want to... They'd be like, no, leave our office now. But it goes to show how much power she has and how much worth she has for that company. And I think this is why it's so fascinating.
Meanwhile, people like me... when I have to steal a gimmick, I've got to steal one that neither WWE nor Cody Rhodes wants back.
Yeah, exactly. But maybe that's why it worked. I don't know. But yeah, I think, that's how obviously Royal Rumble went off air. If you don't know yet, is that Asuka won the Royal Rumble, and then Ronda Rousey came out. And
did she? I completely forgot because it seemed to me that Ronda Rousey won the Royal Rumble.
Well, I mean, she kind of did, right? She certainly won whatever the biggest prize in WWE is. But this is what I'm intrigued about. Because
she got to point at the sign.
I hate the pointing at the sign. I don't like to be that guy. I really hate it because it makes no sense. Why is there only a 3-month period where people are pointing at signs?
Pointing at signs.
I don't get it.
Someone on Twitter said to me, like, that's the mark that she's got this. She's already a good pro wrestler. She's mastered the art of pointing at signs. And I said, let's not forget, she's also mastered the art of taking 10 minutes to shake somebody's hand. What
was all that about? That whole segment. I know we're starting at the end of a show, which is weird. But I'm like the most.
We're going a little bit Quentin Tarantino.
yeah.
It's all out of order.
Why not? But I am the most easygoing wrestling fan in the world. Nothing irks me that much because I treat it as a form of entertainment.
I try to do the same, yeah.
Yeah, but even I watched that entire thing. I was like, this is awful. Like from the production to what she was doing to how awkward it felt to how nobody was saying anything. I was like, what is this?
Her weird pose even, the way she pointed. Like, I don't want to be so overly critical. Especially because there's a bit of personal bias. Because when it comes to Ronda Rousey, I'm not a fan of her as let's just say I'm not fond of her attitudes.
Well, no, I think you're not in the minority there. I've seen a lot of people say that before and after, so yeah.
Yeah, so she kind of rubs me up the wrong way, and I don't want that to overly inform my opinion of her
as a wrestler,
as a future wrestler.
Yeah.
I mean, it would be hypocritical of me to, just be like, oh, fuck Ronda Rousey, I'm not going to watch Raw because she's on it, when I'm paying $10 a month to watch the WWE Network, which is owned by Vincent Kennedy McMahon. It would be absolutely hypocritical to focus on Ronda's attitudes while glossing over the fact that VKM is not the nicest man around.
It's certainly, there's a lot of evidence to suggest that, yes.
Yes, there's certainly a lot of evidence to suggest that he is, dodgy at least. And I don't want to turn this too controversial, but I don't want to let my predisposition inform how I view her as a wrestler. But at the end of the day, Shayna Baszler is in NXT going through the, what one would call the quote-unquote proper channels. And kicking fucking ass. And it just sucks that I feel like every time she comes on now, we're just going to hear Ronda Rousey's name come up all the time.
Well, that is, I mean, you get the comparisons, to say the least.
Yeah. It's just Ronda Rousey. I've got this thing about MMA fighters coming into WWE anyway. And it does make me a little bit biased against them. And I own that. It's a personal, not entirely fair bias. But, you get an MMA fighter coming in and WWE then just trips over itself, fawning over them, because it's a little bit of extra legitimacy and mainstream attention for them. And it just feels so cloying.
That's a good word.
Yeah, and I had that attitude with Baszler as well, where I'm like, I just rolled my eyes and said, oh, look, another MMA fighter's coming in, and they're going to give her a massive push just because she's an MMA fighter. And then it turns out, no, she's actually terrifying, and it's awesome. So I'm all aboard the Baszler train now. And
I like her a lot, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's the calmness. She is calm and vicious at the same time, and I love it. And maybe Ronda will turn out to be awesome as a performer. But various elements rub this the wrong way.
I mean,
and I don't know if it was a work or not, but I'm gonna pretend that Nia Jax was totally off script when she tweeted about Ronda Rousey and was like, oh, good, she's here. Let's just completely forget what 30 other women did last night.
Yeah.
I'm going to take it as read that she meant every word of that, whether it's true or not.
Well, why not? Man, if we did that with all pro wrestling angles, how good would what amazing world that would be? You'd love everything.
Wonderful. Yeah. I love Nia Jax.
I like Nia Jax, you know.
She's another one I started a little bit lukewarm on. And I think that's partly because of creative weren't doing much with her. So she was just there and larger than the other wrestlers.
I mean, that's pretty much, that was her character. Yeah, that literally was her character.
But now that she had that little walkout threat and they came to some new agreement and they've given her more to do. Thank God she's not in that relationship with Enzo, although all things considered, thank God no one's near Enzo.
That whole situation was just, I mean, unbelievable. I mean, again, like, you know, as we stand here, who actually knows what happens? But the fact, all of it, just the more you sort of hear about it and learn about it, it's just like, oh dear. I mean, what on earth?
Dear.
Yeah.
But, you know, now that she's doing her own thing and they're pushing her as this sort of, not just a monster, like, she's not just like Braun Strowman, but a woman. There's this sass to her as well that she rolls into it. So it's like she talks a big game and proves it. And there's just something about her they found the right elements and mixed them in the right quantities to create someone I can't take my eyes off when she's performing. Also, my wife just fancies the pants off her. Absolutely loves her. So, yeah, really big on Nia. I was so happy she got a really good showing in the Rumble.
Well, what I really enjoyed what they did there is they always have one spot in the men's Royal Rumble, which is for someone to come in and be the dominant powerhouse that nobody can get out. And I really enjoyed the fact they just didn't have that in the men's one this year and saved it for her in the women's one. I thought it was a really smart thing to do. I was like, well, that's exactly how she should have been treated. And yeah, probably if we had already seen it once in the night, it wouldn't have had the same impact. But doing it this way, I was like, yes, that's exactly what you should have done. And you did it.
I think that's the interesting thing. So sorry, not to.
No, go. Always, man, do it.
I'm on my medicines again, which just makes me chatty Cathy.
That's what it's all about.
But yeah, like they could have had Braun Strowman in this year's Rumble and have him do his thing, you know, and then just knock everyone out. But you're right. Like I think. I like to think it was a deliberate move on their part. It's like, let's not do that spot this year for the men's and have Nia do it. And that's the frustrating thing for me about this whole Rumble is I love a good Rumble, and this was a fantastic fucking Rumble. Both of them. I thought they were both brilliant fun. And everything to do with the Rumbles themselves specifically were on point. Everything looked on point.
Yeah.
Barring, you know, stuff that couldn't be helped. It's a Rumble. There are 30 people. There are going to be botches.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
You know, Sasha Banks kicking the air in front of Lita. Some spots being called too much. It's like, when it's a Rumble, I'll forgive a lot of that. Just because it's a fucking Rumble.
Yeah.
You know, it's amazing to me they're able to coordinate anything, let alone, like, make it look convincing. The fact they only get away with a handful of botches is amazing to me. But I completely lost what I was... Oh, no, I was talking about how each Rumble was really on point, I felt. And it's just everything surrounding it was not.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
That speaks to a bit of an issue with WWE as a whole, is when they do something right, they nail it, and then somehow do something to just undermine it. No, I think they can't help themselves.
I think you're 100% spot on. Because usually what they do when it comes to the Rumble is they do a great build to it, and they get me mega hyped and excited, then it comes, and I think that was rubbish. But this year, they didn't build it up at all. you know, apart from even saying that, like the Raw and SmackDown before the Rumble didn't really mention the women's one that much. They kind of just thought they'd done enough. But then the actual execution of both Rumbles were really good. And I still can't believe, I don't care that we're in 2018, I cannot believe that the winners of the 2018 Royal Rumbles were two dudes from Japan in a Vince McMahon-owned company. I mean, that to me, that blows my brain. That blows my mind. If I had said that to anyone, even 5 years ago, people would have gone, it's just not going to happen. Especially with New Japan kind of, you know, making the waves that it is. You could argue, well, maybe it's the last thing they want to do, but they didn't. And really, what I liked more especially, you know, given the last few years, is that we had two winners that the fans were really pleased to see win.
Oh,
so so you got this lovely reaction when, you know, Nakamura won, Asuka won, and you're like, oh, everybody's happy. Now I feel happy. What is this strange feeling? And they need to do more of that, because I know when Randy Orton won last year, people didn't really mind, but it was still a bit like, yeah, okay, whatever. And obviously the whole Roman Reigns thing was a disaster. But yeah, to actually have two people that the crowd wanted to see and that I wanted to see, and who they seem to have quite clear plans for going forward, I thought it was. I liked it, and I thought both Rumbles were fun. There was enough surprises to keep me interested. I mean, I think it was night and day, really, especially for somebody like WWE that can screw this stuff up so bad.
Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you how good the men's Rumble was. Is I wasn't even in it, and it injured me.
Well, now I need more about that.
As any long-time followers of my work know that I've got a rupture in my spine. And it fucking canes. It's really shit. And you know, we're managing it, we're working on it, and I really would like to get it fixed for certain reasons. But when Shinsuke Nakamura won, I don't think I've reacted this way, even when it used to be me and the guys from college drunk watching the shows at like 4 a.m. In the UK. I don't think I've ever reacted in my own home so loudly.
That's
and
wonderful.
My wife
though, man.
as well, who doesn't even follow wrestling that much. She just sort of picks it up through osmosis when I'm watching. And she has a few guys she likes. And I think I mentioned on the first time I was on this show how much she loves Nakamura.
You did,
and
yes.
Her and I both, like when he won, because it was down to him and Reigns, and I was like, if Reigns wins this, the booing will be legendary even in hell. and honestly, like my pessimism at this point was such that I was fully prepared to see him win this.
Oh really? I just couldn't believe they would have the nonsense to do it again. Although it is WWE, but I convinced myself they wouldn't do it again.
That's it. Like I can't put anything past
You're
them.
right,
and
yeah.
They're just so desperate to make Reigns the guy that I was like, are they actually gonna do this? It's like every time I see an Asuka match, I'm waiting for them to shock us, like shock us with a surprise loss.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
And I feel like they're gonna drop the ball because they're gonna try and be too surprising with it, and it's gonna fall flat.
Yeah, I agree, man.
But I was on the edge of my seat when it came down to the last four guys, and the herd was thinning, and then it was just Reigns and Nakamura, and I was on the edge of my goddamn seat. Even again, my wife was yelling and screaming at every little bit that was happening.
That's wonderful, though, man.
When Reigns went over, I jumped out of my seat. I jumped to my feet, like slapped my hands together, yelled, "Yes!" The kid comes out of his bedroom. He's like, what the hell happened? Because he doesn't follow wrestling. He's like, what the hell happened? And then I realised that I shot out of my chair so fucking fast that I then just sat gingerly down going, ow, ow,
oh, man.
ow.
WWE would love to hear that story. They'd put it on some kind of documentary.
The moment Reigns, I'm so predisposed to it. The moment Nakamura won, actually managed to injure someone who wasn't even participating in the Rumble.
Yeah, but dude, I think that sums up why it was such a good decision, because even if it is just we don't want Roman to win, that's fine. As long as you tap into what the fans want every now and then so they can enjoy an event. I think we just don't do it enough. Like, And we do have a couple of baby faces these days that the fans actually love. So to not embrace that and to continue, ignore it is ridiculous. Because, I guess I really, really do hate. I'd love it if everybody loved Roman Reigns because he's meant to be loved, but he's not. So when you got someone like Nakamura that everybody does respect and you just go, yeah, but we don't get it. Well, who cares what you think? The fans are into him. So I'm really happy they gave him this. And I think it doesn't even really matter what they've done over the last year. If the build now to Styles Nakamura is good, Nakamura's going to feel like a big deal regardless.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I've gone back and checked out, I'm still in the process of catching up some of the interesting stuff I missed while I took a hiatus from watching WWE. Like, I missed, to my great regret, I missed CM Punk's whole, legendary run.
Yeah.
But I went back and watched a lot of it. And every time I see someone like Nakamura get dicked over, every time I see them job Aiden English out, who, by the way, I know Rusev Day is about Rusev, and I've gone from not caring much for Rusev to loving the shit out of Rusev.
I'm in love with him. I'm actually in love with him.
To me, Rusev Day, and it's just for a personal thing. Personally, Rusev Day is all about Aiden English for me, because I was a big fan of him before Rusev Day kicked off. And to see him be part of it is wonderful. I love Aiden English.
I think he's great,
funny.
yeah.
His devotion to Rusev. My favourite moment was the Christmas match they had just before he got, his face smashed into the pancakes. He was just about to attack the New Day, and he just goes, "For Rusev!" and just that sort of this doggedly loyal warrior for Rusev is such a good idea. Him just being the bard to his warrior.
That is such a good description.
It's a great fucking gimmick. It's a great thing, and Rusev Day is so over, and I'm like, stop jobbing Aiden English out. And every time I see something like that, every time I see Nakamura being given nothing to do, every time I see Aiden English being jobbed out and Rusev Day not getting much of not much creative support, despite the fan support, I remember the shit I've seen going back. And Triple H in the ring with CM Punk being all, you don't have to impress me. You got to impress them.
I remember all of that. Oh, my God.
It's all about the fans. They make the decisions. And I'm like, if the fans made the decisions, why? Why aren't the baby faces who are actually popular getting the rub?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's always been their nonsense, isn't it?
Yeah, it seems like they're learning in some regards. We got AJ Styles as champ. I mean, it doesn't get... As far as SmackDown goes, it's him and Nakamura as far as the top baby faces go. And they clearly made the right call there. And AJ Styles versus Nakamura, I mean... I have no words. I have no words for what kind of promise that'll have at WrestleMania.
Well, the fact as well that that's even a potential to be at WrestleMania, I think it kind of shows how far WWE's come over the last few years. There's still a small part of me that thinks that Randy Orton is somehow going to be worked into that match. I just think that backstage, WWE management backstage, somebody there of some kind of level of importance will be thinking, we need a WWE guy in there. I can see that happening. However, I'm not massively against that because I do think Randy Orton... I do like Randy Orton. I wouldn't say I'm his biggest fan, but I think in a three-way scenario, he would actually add... Well, no, let me rephrase that. He wouldn't take anything away. I think actually Nakamura AJ one-on-one would be better, but I don't think he gets in the way. But that's my only worry. But other than that, the fact that it's for the WWE title, and the fact, like I said, we even had... a New Japan guy winning the Rumble in itself. I'm happy they can do whatever they want now. They've already they've given me much more than I ever expected. So I'm happy now just to kind of ride the wave and see where we get to.
I mean, it's so good to finally give Nakamura a thing. I'm so sick of, we need someone to continue fighting Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens, on behalf of Shane McMahon. Oh, let's just throw Nakamura in there. He's got nothing to do. It's like, finally, he's got something to fucking do.
Yeah.
And he bloody deserves it, because for someone who has been meandering, and he has been meandering.
Oh, absolutely.
Honestly, he's been boring, and it's not his fault. He's been written boring. And now he's finally got something. And he deserves it, because despite having nothing to do, despite meandering and middling around in limbo, he has remained so over.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's just because of his music. Some people will say that, it's just his entrance. But no, people are fucking into him.
Absolutely.
When he's in that ring. All of his signature spots, people love to see it. There's nothing more satisfying than hearing, I think it's Corey that does it, just yell, Kinshasa! Did I say that right? It is Kinshasa.
I pronounce it, apparently I pronounce it different every time I say it, so I'm not the person to ask, yeah.
I probably do the same. But yeah, he stayed over with nothing to do. And that deserves a reward. The same way Rusev Day, they're getting themselves over. I'll just refer to... I think they've started referring to both of them as Rusev Day.
That's what I call them now, yeah. I don't know if it's ever been made official, but I'm going with it now. It's just happening. So.
And, there's always that... People say, half sarcastically that if you get yourself over without WWE's help, they're going to punish you for it. And I hope that's not the case, because, the figures don't lie. I got a Rusev Day shirt just before they sold out of the bloody things.
Amazing.
They need those tag titles at some point, and it needs to be fairly soonish.
Well, the weird thing is, and I don't mean to spoil SmackDown for you, but I do want to get your opinion on this. They did a number one contender match for the US title on SmackDown. And it was Rusev Day. It was Rusev versus Kofi Kingston versus Zack Ryder versus Jinder Mahal. And amazingly, Rusev won, and he is now in a US title match next week on SmackDown. Now that surprised me. Now I'm all right with that, because I've been quite public about my love for Rusev, and I actually do think the last good run with the US title was when Rusev had it, and John Cena's was good too. But that did make me... obviously, Aiden English was ringside, as were the New Day and Jinder Mahal with the Singh brothers.
Yeah.
But that does seem to me... I don't know. This maybe when they get to Mania, they have gone back into tag team mode and they are challenging for the titles. But it did surprise me, because I was like, it's good, because clearly they've recognised that he's got over and his merchandise is selling well, which is always a good 1-2 punch if you're in WWE. But it did make me kind of wonder, okay, what's the plan for this? Is he actually going to beat Bobby? I can't imagine they're going to let Bobby Roode lose the US title that quickly. So what is the idea with Rusev here? So I was happy, but I was surprised. Also, he did call Bobby Roode Bob Roode, which was the greatest thing. I loved it. It's just so stupid, but it made me laugh. But yeah, I don't know 100%. I like your plan. And to be honest, I think Rusev Day as tag champions, I think maybe I'd prefer that, but now I don't know the direction they're heading in.
Yeah, it all looked set like they were heading for a fairly lengthy program with the New Day. Rusev Day versus New Day. Maybe they're still doing it because, Kofi Kingston, as you say, was in that match. And I would find it unlikely that Bobby Roode would lose the title so soon.
It would be weird.
Especially, with... I don't know what Dolph Ziggler's done yet, as of yet. So I don't know whether he's in this picture or not until I catch the show later. But I don't know, just... That does sound odd. And... It would suck to just feed Rusev to Bobby Roode. Well,
that's what I don't... Yeah, I'm not 100% sure what their plan is. They also were quite keen to kind of, without saying it, but saying it, that the Bludgeon Brothers are in line. They've beaten enough jobbers now. So it's time for them to sort of maybe move into the title scene, although there was nothing concrete about that. So, but again, we are only in late January, early February, so maybe we do have 2 months to go. So maybe there are plans to have Rusev Day, and maybe there are... I don't know. Maybe this is just a way to fill time. Obviously, we've got another pay-per-view to get through first.
Sure.
But it'd be interesting. And obviously, I think, obviously Rusev came in at number 1 in the Men's Royal Rumble. They gave him 30 minutes, and he was super over. So there is a certain spotlight on him. Aiden English wasn't even... Aiden English wasn't in the Rumble, wasn't he? I tell a lie. He did come in the Rumble. I'm making that up.
He was... he was dicked over again.
Yeah.
That upset me. I mean, I'm like, why weren't they in the ring together at any point? I'm puzzled because Rusev Day is one of the most ludicrously over shticks they've had in a long time, for as far as I can tell, and they're sitting on gold, and they were the stars of the Clash of Champions tag match.
Oh, no question, yeah.
Like, they had me believing they were going to win at several points. It was sold so strongly. It just seems so wasted that they wouldn't be in that picture again. And they've gone from having, on both shows, a sort of weak tag division to SmackDown absolutely stepping up its game.
Yeah.
And you can tell it's on purpose because, again, the commentators keep talking about how great their tag division is. So you know that they want us to know that they care about the tag division again. And with the Usos and New Day and Gable and Shelton Benjamin. By the way, I fucking love Chad Gable.
Oh, man. Talk about underrated. What a wrestler. Yeah. What a pro wrestler.
Great pro wrestler. Great on the mic. Like, some people aren't too fond of it, as near as I can tell, but he's got that dorky 2000 era Kurt Angle thing going for him so well. And Shelton Benjamin works as this great, rarely talks, but like punctuates for emphasis backup on mic. It's a great act. And honestly, like, if I could see for the title picture, if I could see a feud somewhere down the line between Gable and Benjamin, Shelton Benjamin, against Rusev Day, that would make my day.
I would love that. I would love to. I mean, the good thing is that we have time. I hope we see it, and I won't spoil SmackDown anymore. My worry is that WWE's already given up with Chad Gable and Shelton Benjamin, but I won't say anything else because I don't know that for sure. It was just an interesting choice that they had with them. In terms of the Men's Royal Rumble and the Women's Royal Rumble, we'll talk about them sort of side by side.
We really should get back to the actual Rumble.
Well, I mean, but it all kind of ties in, though. I think. Like, what was your favorite sort of surprise of the whole thing? Because I've often found in the past Rumbles almost live and die based on the surprises you get, and I know sometimes a Rumble comes and goes without a surprise, and that really annoys people. But I actually think they did a pretty decent job with it this time. And, especially, I mean, I know everybody's talking about the Rey Mysterio one, and the Rey Mysterio one was great. But I really, really did like, what do you call it, the Hurricane coming back. That really did please me.
That was the one that made me lose my shit.
Yeah, because it was just, again, it kind of ties into the Bushwhacker thing. He came in, he tried to do a choke slam on Cena, he got thrown out, and then he just pandered to the crowd the entire way out.
Yeah.
And it just made me laugh, and I could just tell that he was having fun, which meant I was having fun. And I thought it was, I just thought he was great.
Definitely one of the big highlights for me. The moment I heard "Stand Back," I was like, oh my shit.
It's brilliant. It was brilliant.
Yeah, that was good. Obviously, Rey Mysterio it was great to see him.
Well, he was just so good. He was so fast for a guy that's in his 40s or whatever he's in. I was like, man, now that he hasn't got any injuries and he's got his weight down, I was just like, bloody hell, man, you're a very good professional wrestler.
That's very much one of those times when You Still Got It was...
more than appropriate,
It would have been a well-deserved thing. I loved seeing Andrade Cien Almas turning up.
The amount of momentum he's got in the past sort of month or 2 months has been amazing. Yeah,
he's another one who I didn't quite see the deal and was shocked when he beat Drew McIntyre. I don't know any sort of... I try and avoid dirt sheet stuff these days.
Yeah.
I used to be big into that back, during my first obsession with WWE. I try and avoid too much of the rumoring and that, so I can stay surprised watching. So I had no idea where the company was as far as Andrade goes. But since he's won the champion, and obviously Vega is his business advisor, and Hurricane Rana provider, it's a great double act. And Andrade's every week is growing more and more into the role.
Absolutely, yeah.
And so it was lovely to see him as well. And Adam Cole, even though he didn't really do much, I was just impressed to see him come out after what he did the night before.
I know.
With Aleister Black.
Especially because apparently the original plan was to have him as Bob Roode's mystery opponent on the pre-show. And I don't think that would have been good at all because, again, I know that some people hate NXT guys being debuted in the Rumble because they think, well, they're never going to win. But I still think if you didn't know who Adam Cole was, you're going to look up Adam Cole. Then you're probably going to find his match from TakeOver. And you're probably going to think, wow, this guy's really good.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think that's part of why they do it. They have these takeovers the night before Rumbles now. And, you know, if you're watching the Rumble, chances are good you've subscribed to the WWE Network, maybe just to watch this, maybe not.
Yeah.
But you've still got the subscription for a month. So, yeah, throw in the NXT champion, throw in Adam Cole, throw in Ember Moon, let people know that, you know, these are NXT people, and that there's a whole other show, a whole other pay-per-view that happened the night before that you can go back and watch.
Yeah.
It's good advertising. And you know, I see why they do it. And I'm just, you know, yeah, they're not going to win. And I guess people hate that. But it's like, it's not about the wins and losses, especially in a Rumble. At least not until you get down to the last two.
No, I agree.
It's all about making, there's a reason why Kane is considered a Royal Rumble MVP, even though, to my knowledge, he has never won.
He has never won. He came down to the final.
He's never won.
It was in the final two. I can't remember. He's been in the final two maybe a couple of times, but yeah, he's never won.
Yeah, but you know, he's considered a Rumble legend for the amount of eliminations he's had. A little bit annoyed that Roman Reigns took his other record. Why don't you just give Roman Reigns everything? Why don't you get the record for everything? Why don't we just give him both the women's championship and bring back the Divas title and give that to him as well? Why not?
I was on Twitter when the Women's Rumble was going on. There was a lot of people being like, "So when's Roman going to turn up?" Given that he didn't win the men's, and I was a bit I could see it happening. I was hoping for James Ellsworth. I would have lost my shit if James Ellsworth had turned up. I think that would have been good.
You know, even if he's just eliminated like the second he gets in, like a Santino Morello thing.
Yeah. I think it should have been like that. Yeah.
I would have. I would have laughed. Some people might not have found it funny, but I would have thought that. But especially if he, you know, gets in there and gets humiliated by the women there, that would have been worth it. But back to the men's and the surprises and everything. Yeah, there was just a lot of fun spots as well. Kofi Kingston always, again, another example of how it's not about winning the Rumble. People have called him Mr. Royal Rumble. He's never won.
Yeah.
But Kofi Kingston will steal the show while he's there. And this year, I mean, it's hard to top some of the stuff he's done. So this year was more comedy than impressive feats of strength, but standing on the pancakes was just cute.
Okay, I'm going to play devil's advocate here because I did make me laugh, but at the same time, if I put my nerd hat on, I kind of understand where people are coming from. Although I think that if you go down this path too much, it's just awful. But do you think that is maybe a case of WWE taking the idea of both feet must hit the floor a little too far?
It is. I liked it, but you're right. It was too far, but it was so amusing. I'm okay with it.
I'm 100% with you. It's like if I take a step back, I'm like, wait, what? However, at the same time, he was gone soon after this. That whole pogo stick thing when New Day just threw him back in the ring was hilarious.
Yeah, that was great.
And I am like, this happened, like 25 minutes, 30 minutes before the Rumble was over? So it's not like it made a difference.
Yeah.
You know, so I kind of am all right with it. But I think maybe a small part of me, maybe the more cynical part of me, is like next year, if we don't have any more ideas, we can just stop doing it. It's like we don't need to do it every year, yeah.
Besides which, it looks like Naomi's going to take that ball and run with it now. Kofi, you don't have to anymore. Because Naomi is just going to go out of her mind with it, apparently. And someone said that she maybe did it a little bit too much. But she sort of combined two of Kofi's classic moments in one.
Yeah, it was weird, wasn't it? Yeah.
And then the use of the chair. But again, I was fine with it.
I was alright with it,
yeah. But yeah, overall, the men's rumble just it kept having me laugh. I loved seeing all the spots. I liked Heath Slater.
I love him.
Struggling to get into the ring. The moment he does, he immediately throws Sheamus out. That was just such a great little moment. And then, of course, he's just dumped out. Just poor fucking guy.
I mean, like, I guess that kind of did work because, you know, you had sort of the elevation of him throwing out Sheamus and then him just going. So, oh, that was weird. But I just think everything that he does is great. I'm such a fan of Heath Slater. And maybe that's why they can't do any more with him. Because maybe if they put him in a more serious role, I'd be like, well, I don't enjoy this anymore. I want the goofy guy back. But I did enjoy all of that. I thought it was a great sort of fun spot. And that's kind of what I thought throughout the Rumble. There were a lot of moments where I thought, oh, this is awesome. WWE's actually having fun with the Rumble. They've thought about what can we do to make sure, you know, we get from entrant 1 to entrant 30 and it not be a slog. And it never dragged for me. Both of them. The same with the women's. I mean, the women's obviously relied much more on surprise faces coming back. But that's fine. Whatever you've got to do.
It was the first ever women's Royal Rumble. So I have no problem with there being so much nostalgia.
Yeah, me too.
Because if you're going to do the first Women's Royal Rumble, Lita deserves to be there. Trish Stratus deserves to be there. Tori Wilson deserves to be there. Like, regardless of some of the terrible storylines she's had.
I do want to ask, though, like, why does Tori Wilson now look like a different person? Like, when she came out, I was like, I don't know who that is. Until they said it, I was like, I don't know who that person is. But it doesn't look like she's had... I'm not saying I think she's had plastic surgery or anything. It's not that at all. Her face has changed. To me, anyway. Maybe I don't remember what she looked like, but it took me ages to figure out who the hell she was. But I do agree with you.
I mean, I guess, unlike Trish Stratus, who we have seen here and there, so we've seen her age, I suppose. So it's more natural. And this is true of any human, you know. If you haven't seen someone in 10 years, they're going to look a lot more older to you than if you've known someone consistently for 10 years and they've aged naturally as you've known them. Trish Stratus has, you know, made a good few appearances. We've seen her grow older. So, you know, there's nothing stark about the fact that she looks a bit older now because, oh, hey, she's older now. But with Tori Wilson, I mean, I know I personally haven't seen her since the mid-2000s.
No, I haven't either, you're right.
I sort of slowly moved away from watching WWE. So when I saw her back, I think there is going to be a bit more of a stark, oh, she looks very different now, simply because she's older now. And, you know, maybe she did have surgery, maybe not. It doesn't matter.
Oh, I don't care about stuff like that. I mean, each to their own. Whatever somebody wants to do, good for them. Go nuts.
But yeah, she did. She definitely looked like a different person. But I think part of that is the same way, you know, seeing a friend you haven't seen in 10 years, they would look very different.
Yeah, you're probably right. It just surprised me. I just didn't know who it was. I genuinely didn't know who it was. It took me by surprise. But I do agree with you. I think, you know, relying on stars from the past was absolutely the right thing to do. And it just made it really fun. It just made the whole thing, who's going to come out next? And fair play to her as well. Beth Phoenix she looked like she could kick anybody's ass. Like, she looked really good, I thought.
Yeah, Beth Phoenix put in a great showing. I don't know if I'm in the minority or the majority here, but fuck it. Vicky Guerrero was fun. Fuck it. Vicky Guerrero coming out, screeching, and then just being humiliated for a giggle.
It worked,
as long as she's still fine with it, so long as Vicky's having fun with it, It's all good.
Yeah, I agree. I totally agree. Again, it was a great way to change up the pace as well.
Yeah. She sort of she gave us a little bit of downtime in the middle of it. But if anything, I think one of the reasons why both Rumbles were so good is because they had two of them. And I know there was a lot of speculation beforehand of how are they going to do this? How is this not going to be boring? And the answer is, make them both really fucking fun to the point where time flies.
Yeah.
It didn't feel... Neither match felt like it dragged on. They were over sooner than I expected. Not because they were shorter, but because I was just having too much fun.
Yeah.
There were just so many surprises, so many interesting spots. And the women's one, so much nostalgia, and plenty of good showings for the current stars as well. That almost by necessity, they had to be fast-paced, energetic, and fun.
I agree.
So rather than the Women's Rumble taking anything away from the Men's Rumble, I think both of them enhanced each other because they both had to be good. Otherwise, it would have been a really boring show to watch two Rumbles.
Yeah. I mean, my only thing with that is I totally agree with you, is I don't want... I worry they're falling into a pattern because obviously they announced the next night there's going to be an Elimination Chamber match, women's and men's, at Elimination Chamber. And I'm like, I don't think we need to do, the men's and women's equivalent all the time. I'd rather we just had a women's one and then just don't do a men's one. To be honest with you, I'd actually even be all right if they did that with the Rumble, which I said the other day and got me in so much trouble. But if 2019 just had a women's Royal Rumble and no men's, I wouldn't be so against that as long as they could come up with a good story for everybody else involved. That's the thing to me.
Yeah, I mean, so long as everyone else on the roster still has something interesting to do.
Yeah, exactly.
It wouldn't be an issue to me. The Elimination Chamber, obviously not being quite as prestigious as the Royal Rumble, if they did just a women's Elimination Chamber one year, yeah, I'd be even more fine with that.
Yeah, I would, yeah.
I mean, the Elimination Chamber as a match itself is... it's not quite a Punjabi prison, but it is a little bit overbooked.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
fun to see. It can be fun to see, and there can be some cool spots. The botch that Sheamus turned into a plan all along angle was just such a great thing. And I just love that there's just this little legacy of Bischoff in there. Considering, that they credited the idea to him.
Yeah.
Whether that's kayfabe or not,
He's still got history there.
Yeah, Bischoff just left this little mark and they've let him keep that mark. So I don't mind seeing a decent Elimination Chamber match. But yeah, you're right. They don't have to just keep saying, let's just do a distaff version of the same match. I mean, honestly, why not come up with some new innovative gimmick matches that the women do first?
Yeah, I'm 100%, man. Like, just come up with a good story and make it work. Like, I'm all right with that.
We've had all this, the first ever women's Hell in a Cell, the first ever women's Royal Rumble, the first ever women's Elimination Chamber. Let's come up with another type of gimmicked match and not make it this is a women pioneering thing. It's just, no, this just happens to be a women's match that has a new gimmick. Yeah,
exactly. And it ties into something they cut. Dude, I think that would be a very healthy way to go. Mm-hmm. Just because I know that time is against us. I mean, what did you think of the rest of the Royal Rumble show overall? Like, I kind of thought all the other matches fell into where they had to fall into, but I enjoyed them. I mean, I thought both championship matches were good. I especially enjoyed watching Braun Strowman knee Brock Lesnar for real and then get punched in the head back. I shouldn't laugh at stuff like that, but it's just so shocking. I couldn't help it.
It was vicious. What made me laugh wasn't so much that, but Lance Storm tweeting, guys, don't knee Brock Lesnar in the head.
yeah. So look what happens. Well, yeah, you really, really shouldn't. But
it was okay. It was. I mean, I'll watch Braun Strowman knock things over and Raw, and I'll be perfectly happy with that. I think this match and the match Monday night showed, as much as I hate to admit it, because growing up, he was my guy. But I think it really is unavoidable now that Kane's time is done.
Yeah, I think you're right.
At the very least, Kane as the big red machine is not believable anymore. The Undertaker manages to still pull it off because he's still got a presence to him. Yeah. Even as he gets older, he maintains a presence, and obviously WWE protect him very well. But Kane, I think it's over.
I think you're right, man.
Because I love him.
I love him too.
When he came back to drag Roman Reigns under the ring, I was excited. But the half mask he has on now emphasizes the nose and the chin to an almost clownish proportion. Like, he looks like a clown. And I'm fairly certain that's not his hair. That's like all attached to the mask.
It is attached to the mask.
Yeah,
it's awful.
I had a feeling.
Worst idea.
It doesn't look good. I don't think Kane is. He could still perform. He could still go. But I don't think he can go as the devil's favorite demon anymore. No. I just don't think that works.
No, I think you're 100% right, man. But
then again, I never had an issue with Corporate Kane, even though other people do. I went back and checked a lot of that out and thought that was interesting.
I thought it was funny. I thought it was quite a nice departure. But yeah, I mean, were there any sort of the other matches on the card stand out for you, or you just kind of felt like they were filler? I mean, the only one I didn't really like was the Raw title or tag team title match, but that's only because it came straight after the Men's Royal Rumble, and what are you meant to do then? What a dead position to be in.
I felt sorry for them more than anything.
Yeah.
They were working as hard as anyone else, but the crowd was dead. They were emotionally spent.
Yeah, exactly.
The Rumble. They just lost their shit over Nakamura. They just spent a long time yelling, "You both suck" at Cena and Roman. They were spent, needed time to decompress before the women's match.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the Raw Tag Team titles got saddled with the piss break match.
Yeah. They really did. The calm down match, which just took away any kind of heat that it could have had.
Yeah, and it's a shame. And I'm trying to remember even the SmackDown tag match, but again, that one was just sort of.
It was just there. They did the whole 2 out of 3 falls stip, but just gave 2 falls to the Usos, which I kind of liked in a way because it was different, but at the same time, it didn't really help Chad Gable and Shelton Benjamin all that much.
No. I mean, they want to talk about how great their tag division is now, but it's still not as healthy as it could be.
No.
And we're a long, long way from, the days of Edge and Christian, Dudleys and Hardys.
Oh, man.
But I feel like SmackDown's on the cusp of being able to have that. I feel like if we can get a good 3 or 4 way feud between some tag teams, we get the New Day in there, we get the Usos in there. I mean, honestly, the Clash of Champions had what I consider would have been perfect for an extended program of Rusev Day, Usos, New Day, and Gable and Benjamin vying over this stuff. And, I mean, if that culminated in a TLC match at some point, that I think would have been amazing.
Yeah.
It's clearly not what we're going to get.
No, I don't think so.
But it frustrates me because we do have some great potential tag teams now. And Bludgeon Brothers, of course, are a whole different ball game and are clearly going to change the scope of things. But there could be some really classic tag action going on, and it's just not happening yet. And they've got the tools there. The elements are in place. They just need to put them together and let it combust.
Yeah, dude, I think you're 100% spot on. We'll leave the Rumble there just because I want to talk to you about your own wrestling stuff. Why wouldn't we want to do that? And again, I know that time is ticking away. So let's just get straight into it. Let's not even, pay any sense of ceremony. you know, Sterdust had his big debut maybe a few weeks ago now, maybe a couple of weeks. I can't remember.
A couple of weeks. This was January 20th.
Yeah. So, I mean, just give us the details, man. I want to know all about it. So, I mean, you are a pro wrestler now. You've done it. You've made it.
Yeah. Sort of. I mean, Sterdust's gimmick is he's a wrestler who makes other wrestlers wrestle for him.
That's so good.
Which, you know, considering I can't wrestle, at least yet, and there as a manager, the idea of a manager who behaves like a wrestler isn't something I've seen. I don't think I've seen it. A manager coming out dressed to compete in a full spandex bodysuit and then getting someone else to do the fight. I like that as a gimmick, and it's bolstered by the fact that it's a D-list YouTuber with an appropriated derivative gimmick who shit-talked his way into a wrestling promotion.
However you do it, man. However you do it.
And he's just causing chaos while he's there. It's a good story, and again, like, my hat goes off to Pro Wrestling Ego. What I had conceived as a 5-minute skit for the Gymquisition has become a wrestling angle that, provided I don't fuck it up, will last several months. I mean, this is a full-on angle, and I've been offered, the potential to train, which has given me even more sort of determination to get my back sorted once and for all, get my cardio up, continue with my weight loss stuff that I've been working on. Even if the best I ever manage is knowing a couple of grapples and that, you know, it'll help me be a better manager.
Absolutely, yeah, the more you can
understand psychology. Because that was one thing I was telling the guys. They fully admitted they're just going to throw me in at the deep end and see what happens. So I'm talking to Johnny Lerman and Big K. They're the two guys who I was working with that night. And it was amazing seeing it behind the scenes. My respect for what pro wrestlers do shot up even more. Like, I didn't think it could go much higher, because these guys just, like, physically and their improv skills blow my mind. But to see it from the other side of the curtain as well, how quick they can put a match together, it's incredible. And it was a lot of fun. I got to come out, run down the crowd, introduce them to Sterdust, implement what we've called the Stir Search, which is Sterdust's quest to find someone in Pro Wrestling Ego worthy of
damn right
their association with the king of cosmic chaos. It's I feel like it's a good angle. We got some really good ideas. It's leading to a storyline that I think is going to be incredible fun. But to say I was thrown in at the deep end is putting it mildly. Sorry, just taking a bit of water there. I don't know ring psychology. You know, I understand the concepts of it.
Yeah, but actually applying it's really hard.
Yeah, but, like, being there, even as a manager, knowing the cues, knowing how to behave, having been given no training at all for it. Clearly I can talk on a microphone. I've done that for years outside of wrestling. I can cut a promo, and I'm confident enough, having done one now in front of a live crowd. My promo skills are there, and if all I ever get to be is a mouthpiece for another wrestler, I'll be thrilled with that, because I'm confident I can put guys over. But learning that psychology, it was terrifying. I was so glad that one of my big cues to interfere was a Superman punch, because I'm like, I at least know what that is.
Yeah, I know what that is, yeah.
I at least know what that is. And, you know, they kept it easy for me. I stuck to one part of the ring, and I knew when to interfere. But there were some botches. I messed up. You can't tell most of them because, again, the improvisational skills are so amazing.
Yeah.
I didn't know that Sterdust was going to be involved in the main event that night. Facilitating. I mean, some would say Sterdust underhandedly helped O'Shea Edwards to attack Ray Fury. And by the way, don't sleep on either of those guys. Ray Fury and O'Shea. Ray Fury is he wrestles primarily here in Mississippi, and is sort of the top guy at Pro Wrestling Ego. He's sort of the guy. O'Shea Edwards comes into Mississippi from Atlanta, does a lot of wrestling in Georgia, but is a super top guy here. And I swear, like, he is someone not to sleep on. O'Shea Edwards is someone everybody who's into wrestling, especially indie wrestling, would be wise to keep an eye on.
Yeah.
And so that was interesting. And I missed all of my cues to do stuff there. When I'm told a double suplex is a cue to do something, I'm like, okay, what is that? 2 suplexes in a row, suplexing 2 dudes? And my anxiety crops up a lot backstage. It's not until I'm out in front of the crowd that I sort of forget that I have social anxiety, oddly enough. So I'm second guessing myself constantly.
I think that's fair, man. I think most people would be like that, yeah.
And again, testament to everyone. Everything looked like it was supposed to have happened. And the only significant botch that was noticeable was the moment where I yelled, "Shut your goddamn mouths," to a front row of children at a PG-rated Christian show.
Well,
in Mississippi.
Yeah. Well, at least you were in the moment, though. At least you were in the character. At least you believed. Look at it that way.
Yeah. Well, again, a testament to the improv skills of everyone at Pro Wrestling Ego. It turned into a threat to have me dismissed forcibly, and the crowd started chanting that, the ha ha ha, nay nay nay, goodbye chant. And so it became part of the thing. But I was like, in my mind, I'm thinking, this is going to be brilliant. I'm going to channel Vince McMahon and be all, shut your goddamn mouths. And the moment it came out of my mouth, I was like, oh dear.
Did you get any problems?
When I got backstage, Lights, Camera, and Action said, "Now that Sterdust's given us the green light to yell goddamn at the crowd, can we all do this?" I caught shit, but it was the fun kind of shit.
Well, I think that's all right. That's fair.
I apologized profusely, but the general consensus was, if anyone was gonna drop a goddamn, that was the time and place to do it. That if anyone was gonna fuck up, it was the right way to fuck up. So we got out of that. Hopefully I'm not talking too inside baseball. I don't think...
No, I think that's okay.
I don't think PW will mind me talking a little bit of the backstage stuff. Mostly because I really want to communicate how great these fucking guys are.
Yeah.
Like, I had a lot of people telling me before the Sterdust debut that, they're going to give you so much shit backstage. They're going to make you pay your dues. They're going to make you feel like crap. They're going to see you as an outsider. Couldn't be further from the truth. I felt incredibly welcome.
Well, that's awesome.
I'm told that backstage, my presence was in no way unwanted. in no way a problem for anybody. I've made friends out of guys there, you know.
I think that's awesome, man. Like, that just makes the whole experience even better.
Absolutely. I mean, backstage, like, obviously I'm talking him up. So now me saying that, you know, I've become what I consider fairly good friends with O'Shea Edwards. You know, it's going to sound a bit biased now, but I was planning to ride that guy's coattails even before I got to know him very well. Just because I really do believe he has the stuff. But other guys I want to put over, I mean, I've talked about the left-hand path before. Also sometimes called the Path of Nightmares when they're joined by Jeremiah. All of those guys, they're the kind of stuff I've missed.
Yeah.
That you don't really see too much in your more polished, non-indie wrestling products. They are just monsters. They're monsters. They're like carnival monsters. You got your zombie dragon, who I've talked about before.
Oh yeah.
With his Daedric mask and his acid spitting, and now he bites people. He won either won or stopped. I can't remember the result, but at the very least stopped a match by zombie biting Shaky McMullen.
Well, it would work, right?
Yeah. You know, left this oozing green mark on his neck where he was bitten, and they had to drag him out because he was just out cold because he got zombie bitten. And, you know, it's just wonderful to see Zombie Dragon get up on the turnbuckle and just fire an arcing fireball out into the crowd. He's great. Eric the Ghost Silver is his tag team partner. Also wonderful. Cut a mean promo. They're a big group, and I make no secret of the fact that should Sterdust ever become dust, that Jim Sterling would like to still continue with Pro Wrestling Ego, and Jim Sterling, if he doesn't become the advocate for O'Shea Edwards, which I also would love, to join the path would be amazing. I've already got black leather for days.
Just like piled up in your house.
I've got black leather and a penchant for creepy masks, so I've already got everything I need. The Jimquisition persona is already now this sort of
he's
carnival ringmaster.
He's ready to go.
And the Nightmare Jeremiah is joined literally by a group called the Brotherhood of Jesters, which are these. I mentioned them briefly. I didn't know much about them before. Now I know a bit more about them. The Brotherhood of Jesters, two of them, one in red and black, one in red and blue, called Pranks and Hijinks. And their job is to accompany Jeremiah, who is, you know, denim overalls, a mask, doesn't say anything, just goes at children, terrifies them. And you've got Pranks and Hijinks like dragging referees under the ring while the referees are screaming. You've got them jumping into the crowd, sitting next to people and just going, ah! in their ears. It's fantastic. I'd have a lot of fun being part of that whole thing. And Trevor Eon as well is a guy I really want to put over, because that's a guy who isn't getting the recognition he deserves. He also is a member of the Left Hand Path and had such a presence to him. I honestly thought he was the centerpiece of the whole thing.
Yeah.
But I recommend checking him out. I need to double check his Twitter handle just to make sure that people can follow him and have a look at him. I think it's Wretched Aeon, but I will double check that. Yeah, Wretched Aeon. The word wretched, then Aeon. And I highly recommend following him, along with Zombie Dragon, Eric Silver, Matthias Darkthorn, who's their leader. all of those guys, I mean, if you check out Trevor Aeon's account, he's retweeting the other guys as well, so you can look them up.
Yeah.
The left-hand path, I have a feeling with the right elements, the right push, the right just with the right direction, they really could dominate a big portion of the Southern wrestling indie scene. It's not just PWE. The Left Hand Path have made their presence felt in a lot of Southern promotions, and I feel like there's an infection there that's gonna spread.
That's how it happens,
I'm
man.
Very excited about them.
The thing is, man, if you've got that feeling, usually in pro wrestling, it just happens from nowhere. Well, no, it feels like it happens from nowhere, but actually, it's been building for ages. So, you know, if you felt it, I imagine that you're probably onto something.
Yeah, so I will, I'll use this this platform I have to, because this is my job here. As far as I'm concerned, with Pro Wrestling Ego, I'm doing it pro bono. I'm doing it for the fun of it, and obviously it helps me exposure-wise, but I consider my job there to be to put guys over.
Yeah.
Put the actual wrestlers who are putting their, that famous phrase, their bodies on the line, putting them over. And yeah, that's what I'm there to do. And I definitely would recommend, do not sleep on Ray Fury, do not sleep on O'Shea Edwards, and pay attention to everyone in the left-hand path. And I don't want to offend any other members of the path, mostly because they're all terrifying and would probably nail me to the wall for fun because that's how they roll. But definitely Zombie Dragon and Trevor Aeon are my personal favourites, and they deserve big things. They deserve big things.
Oh, there you go, man.
And if there's anything I can do to... I'm lobbying so hard to do some work with both the Left Hand Path and O'Shea Edwards because I see so much potential for me to be very obnoxious on their behalf. and it would be an honour and a privilege to be an obnoxious little tit on their behalf.
Well, I've said it before, and I say it again. And obviously, I mean this in a positive and complimentary way. I think you do a very good job. And I mean that in a good way. I mean, I think you understand. I think it's quite clear that you understand the world of pro wrestling, and the fact that you've managed to get involved with a group of people that, as you've said, have some serious talent. I think. I'm excited anyway. I'm excited to see what happens.
I'm excited too. I mean, I'm excited for the promotion as a whole. Pro Wrestling Ego wants to be the Mississippi promotion. They want to be the WWE of Mississippi.
Yeah.
And here's the good thing about Mississippi. You won't hear a lot of good things said about Mississippi, but I said this to the guys, and I'll say it here as well. One of the good things about Mississippi is if you want to be the something of Mississippi, it's not that hard. It's, at the very least, I won't say it's not that hard. At the very least, it's feasible.
Yeah, it's doable.
This will sound fucking arrogant, but it's logistically true. I'm probably the most famous man within a several 100-mile radius.
It probably is true.
Only when Morgan Freeman comes back to visit family do I become
number 2.
The second. Yeah, do I go down a step? I'm more famous than the politicians that run this state, which I used to my own personal advantage when I let people know what a piece of shit Phil Bryant is. Not to get too political on the podcast, but the idea of turning Pro Wrestling Ego into the Mississippi promotion, it's feasible, it's doable.
Yeah.
And with my platform and their platform combined, we could Captain Planet this shit.
Damn right, man. That's the attitude you should have as well. You got to believe.
Yeah, and that's my 2018 goal here, is not just to get myself over as a manager and a heel, because obviously you need to get yourself over as well, no matter what capacity you're in. But my job is to make sure that some of these guys who are impressing the hell out of me and are not being seen get seen. People need to see the froggy elbow that Ray Fury does. People need to see the sheer magnetism of the silver-tongued devil O'Shea Edwards. People need to see the left-hand path and Eric Silver and Zombie Dragon and Trevor Ian, Matthias Darkthorn, and Nightmare Jeremiah. They need to see these guys because they are the shit.
Boom. Right there, Pro Wrestling Ego. Everyone should go check it out. For nothing else, you should go see, just exactly what Jim gets up to as well. As I said every time, I cannot wait to see what you do, man. I think it's great. And I will be following your path very closely indeed.
Thank you. Speaking of path, it will be Sterdust's next appearance at Byron, Mississippi, February 10th, at the event known as The Broken Path. And Sterdust will have phase 2 of the Stir Search.
Well, there we go.
He has a very special offer for any 2 wrestlers who have the moxie, the spine, and the je ne sais quoi to come out there and show me their stir power.
Stir power is so good. Right, so anybody that can get to that event should definitely go. You've got no excuse not to. Otherwise, you're not going to know what goes down. And if anything, you should go and you should tell me, because I want to know what goes down. And I basically live in London. There's no way I can get there in any sense of the word. But seriously, Jim, go on, man.
Oh, I should also just say quickly as well that Pro Wrestling Ego has a YouTube channel. You can check that out. And a Facebook page. They didn't tell me in advance, otherwise I'd have linked it, but they Facebook lived Sterdust's appearance on the January 20th show. They may do it again for the Byram show. So keep an eye out on Pro Wrestling Ego's Facebook page, and you might get to see Sterdust in action, or at least adjacent to action, live. And at the very least, there'll be video footage and montages on the Jimquisition. So, yeah, you'll get to see Sterdust, but it's not just about Sterdust, because I'm window dressing. I'm there for fun, give the crowd something a little bit different, but at the end of the day, it's about the guys who are actually taking the bumps.
Hell yeah, man. Well, like I say, I think everyone should check it out. If you want to kind of find it all out through Jim's stuff, your Twitter is just at Jim Sterling, right? I'm correct in saying that.
At Jim Sterling, yeah. Nice and simple.
And YouTube is just youtube.com/Jim Sterling. I think I'm right with that as well.
Pretty much. I like to keep it
simple
and consistent.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, you can find out about Pro Wrestling Ego or all of Jim's stuff through that. And as always, Jim, thank you very much for your time. And we're going to have to do this after WrestleMania. There's no 2 ways we can't now. We'd be letting ourselves down.
I would be honoured.
And then we'll have stuff to talk about after WrestleMania, my word. But of course, thank you very much for listening to the Simon's Pro Wrestling Podcast. We're on iTunes, YouTube, all podcasting apps. A lot of people tweet me saying, I can't find you. We're there. Just search for Simon's Pro Wrestling Podcast and you will find us. And of course, thank you to everybody that pledges money to the Patreon, patreon.com/Simon316. That's why I can do this stuff. And, without you guys, I wouldn't be able to talk wrestling for an hour and a half on a Wednesday afternoon. So I'm very, very grateful to all of that. And like I say, Jim, once again, thank you very much. And yeah, I guess we'll talk to you in about, 8 weeks, something like that, 10 weeks? Mania's not that far away.
It really isn't, not that far away, 10 weeks.
Yeah.
And a lot can happen between here and then.
and it damn sure will. But yeah,
absolutely.
Also, I'd like to point out for a few people that don't follow me on Twitter or other social media, the reason there has been less podcast this week is because I had to go do some stuff via a hospital. But that's all we're going to say about that. We're going to leave it very up and out there. But we will be back later in the week with the Q&A episode, and I will chat to you very soon.
Keep reaching for the stars.
It's brilliant.